What you're about to hear is a distillation of my thoughts after I was coming away from an appointment one day, a medical appointment recently. And I had a drive ahead of me across town to go run an errand. And I was thinking about creativity, and I was thinking about how many things I've created over the last half decade, and how many of those things didn't get watched, didn't get heard, didn't get read, were never seen by anybody outside of me. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. And if you're a creator, then you probably know this feeling well, of toiling, obsessing over something even, and having it basically flop in the eyes of the algorithm, of feedback, financially, in every sense of the word. So that led to this thought, the patience to suck, philosophy of creative mastery. I've come to believe that mastery isn't about talent or luck. It's about the patience to suck long enough to get good. The hardest part isn't learning the craft. That's what a lot of people think. It's learning the craft. We've got to put more time in. It's enduring your own mediocrity while you become someone capable of excellence. When we're kids, the world forgives our failures. We're surrounded by peers who are learning right alongside us. But when we become adults, the world stops clapping for effort. There are no participation trophies or ribbons in the real world. We're expected to compete at everything, and that expectation kills experimentation. I've had to relearn how to fail in public without shame. And if you do this long enough, you will too. If you plan to do it long enough to see real results. Because contrary to the fantasies or what you see online, most people are not overnight successes. And the rare breakouts who, have the first novel, the first movie, the first song that's a number one hit or a bestseller, they're super rare. They're incredibly rare. Most people are struggling in obscurity. You perhaps are one of those people. So it's about learning to keep going without witnesses. Little story. When I was younger, I had structure. Teachers, grades, mentors, visible progression. In adulthood, that net disappeared. All I had left was my own desire to learn in a world that didn't care whether I did. And that's where most people stop. They can't stop looking foolish without validation. They need applause to continue. I learned that true mastery begins when you keep going without witnesses. Leaving the military forced me to face that truth. Nobody hired me to be a novelist or ghostwriter, or to produce their audiobook, or to edit their novel. And nobody paid me to start writing books. I've spent years writing, recording, and publishing in obscurity. But those years became a kind of crucible, proof of conviction, of perseverance, of the attitude that I can do this. I can at least get a little bit better every day. So I asked myself the question that became my North Star. Do you have the patience to suck long enough to get good? Most people don't. They tell themselves stories about time or the lack of it, about the world being too unstable, about AI taking over, about not having the support they need or the resources they need to do what they know they should be doing or want to do. What they really mean is, I can't handle being unseen while I'm bad. Most of the time, they just boil down to excuses that we make for ourselves, especially the lack of time one. That's one I began to deny myself years ago, because a lack of time usually signals a lack of priority. life as a long-form game. During the pandemic in 2020, I reframed my whole philosophy. I started seeing every skill, writing, language learning, music, as its own video game. Each had its own controls, rules, bosses, and progression system. And I realized if I can master digital worlds in video games, then I can master real ones too. Failure became the early level of mastery, stripped of the visual reward. In games, you get level up screens and victory sound effects and screen shakes and all this positive reinforcement to tell you that you're on the right track, you're doing good, you got a good hit, you got a good block, you found a new item. But real life doesn't work that way. In life, progress is invisible. Often. Especially daily progress. The hit feedback is subtle. You notice less friction, better flow, cleaner outcomes. These are the signals that you're on the right track. And it's only after you do that individual work do exterior forces start noticing. Friends and family start seeing what you're doing. Other creators start seeing what you're doing. Maybe you make some monetary gain. That's when you know you're on the right track. And even those could be false. Even those could be false signals sometimes. I started viewing creative work, creative growth like a long form RPG role playing game. You die, you respawn, you retry. My secret ambition. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but my secret ambition is to be a modern day Da Vinci. Da Vinci had his notebooks. I have novels and code. He drew and theorized across disciplines. I write, draw, compose, build apps, and explore the interface between humanity and technology. It's just a difference of scale and of focus. To me, it's not about being smart. It's about emotional discipline. The skill of being honest with yourself. I've learned to identify when something isn't working, to adapt quickly, to learn the next necessary skill without shame, to be willing to start from zero and be an amateur again. I self-audit constantly. It's not always fun, but it's always progress, at least. The rebellion against mediocrity. This came about because when I was a kid, I looked around and saw adults who had stopped trying. This is mostly, no offense to the people that I grew up around, but I just did not see people doing much outside of their given societal roles, whether that was pastor, parent, or teacher. Everybody just kind of fit into their space, at least from what I saw. Back in that time, sitcom fathers like Homer Simpson and Al Bundy were the cultural mascots of stagnation. Men who'd settled for smallness. Even as a child, I could feel the resignation radiating from that generation. I wanted no part of it. My rebellion wasn't against authority. It was against sedation. I refused to coast. I wanted to see how far I could go, how much of my curiosity I could turn into real skill, real stories, real worlds, and impact. I wanted to prove that adulthood doesn't have to mean slowing down. My current boss fight, showing up in person. Right now, my hardest challenge isn't writing. I figured that out. I have my systems. I have my process. I know how to hit publish. I know how to print compelling stories and innovate. That's not the issue anymore. It's showing up. Because after years of social media obsession and online building a digital fortress, I'm stepping out behind those gates into the real world again. Book festivals, writing groups, indie bookstores, author conventions like Author Nation that I recently attended. It takes more energy, more money, more vulnerability, sure. It's a three-headed dragon: business, outreach, and self-management. But I know it's the right step for me, because it was the thing that I've always been afraid of previously, that I wouldn't have enough to show for my effort, that I didn't belong in those circles. But I've learned this week from attending Author Nation that I definitely do, and that I'm much further ahead than I ever thought I was, or further along, I should say. I'm learning that impact doesn't come from hiding. It comes from embodiment and engagement, real engagement, being there, as James Patterson said in his keynote speech. You have to be there, wherever that is, on the page, in the room, physically, mentally, emotionally. I've structured my days with boundaries, worked on my time management, and found a rhythm that lets me push without burning out. I call this phase full contact creativity, where the art meets the world face to face. There's nowhere to hide. Why I still believe. My novels are my living philosophy. They're how I prove what I believe about humanity, that this is still a great time to be alive, that technology doesn't erase the soul, it reveals it. At least it can, if used properly in the right capacity. Every book I write is a new experiment in emotional resilience. If Da Vinci had notebooks, I have stories. That's my legacy. Not fame, not validation, but proof of evolution. I bet my life on my potential. Will you?